Welcome today. I have made this PPT specifically today for a very simple reason. CAT 2016 is probably about 5.5 months away, maybe close to 6 months. We will get to know in about a month or so. There are unconfirmed reports that IIM Bangalore is going to conduct it. IIM Bangalore, I don't remember whether they have conducted it before. It normally has been Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Lucknow, etc. kind of things. But IIM Bangalore people have always been involved in the conduction of the exam itself, in one way or the other. Will that make a huge difference to this CAT? My answer is no, a categorical no for that matter. Despite all the online discussions that happen on that, it is only foolish to think that one IIM will try to, superimpose their ideas onto what everybody in the country uses. There will be a consensus on that before somebody takes up a decision of how the CAT 2016 paper should be. Point number one. Point number two, I have called this particular session as Mission 200. Whether you are a open category student or OBC student or an SC student or an ST student, doesn't matter to me. I think you have a chance to get to that 200 number out of 300 marks. I'll be very surprised if the CAT 2016 changes in its pattern, because it's only last year that 2015 pattern changed and became a 3-section paper. Even if it changes, it's not going to make too much of a difference to the final number. I suspect it's going to be somewhere around here. The moment the actual pattern comes in, we will rework on some of our numbers and rework on our mission. But since the preparation is always going to be very similar, whatever the paper may be, whatever the pattern may be, I think I will call this as a Mission 200. Mission 200 should be by the time you are in October itself, and probably really gun for the very high scores. No stone unturned when you are appearing once more for this CAT exam. Is it possible to do is one question lots of people ask me. I have always said this to every one of you, each one of you individually, and some of you whom I don't know. I'm saying this very strongly that look boss, probably CAT is one of the easiest exams that anybody can write, because it's a very set pattern. There are ways and means in which you can avoid the pitfalls to ensure that you get there. And that's the reason why CAT, while it is a very difficult exam, simply because couple of lakh students, couple of 100,000 students write this exam. However, getting into the top and getting into the top IIMs, I don't think it's too much of an ado if you know what to do for the next 5 months. So I'm going to quickly take you through this. If you have questions at the end of 25 minutes, 30 minutes that I'm going to talk about, ask me. And each one of you, in fact, I already, all of you will have my number if you don't have already. What we will do is, any problems that you have, any areas of issues that you have, I think we will start addressing them one by one over the next few weeks. So my target 2016, very simple agenda. My agenda is, let's quickly understand CAT what it is and what is the number that we are looking at, why we are looking at 200. Is there anything better that you can solve, better that you can look for? Wait, we will figure it out. This is what scores and percentiles I'm going to talk about. How do I aim for the best? What are the 2 points or 3 points that I need to do to ensure that, see, there are not multiple things that you need to do to get there, guys. Those of you who have written CAT, you really very well understand that it is not a difficult exam. It is an exam which requires a little bit of consistency from each one of you. So let's look at how and what is this consistency that I expect from you, and therefore you can expect from me in terms of training you for the next 5 months. So therefore, all the areas, let's look at what I want you to do. Most of it is very common. I think if your juniors had asked you, yaar, kaisa prepare karna hai, I'm pretty sure that you would have told them. I'm going to reiterate that also, simply because you do not lose focus. Then we'll talk about, of course, what we do. All of you, just to revisit, if you have forgotten, it's been more than 6 months, I guess, November 29th to now June. So 6 months are gone, so I don't know if you really remember this exam. Those of you written the Smart CAT 20, you will, but those of not, 34 questions in quant, of which about 15-16 questions were without choices. But of course, quant need not require so many choices. About 18-17 questions, 18 to 19 questions of MCQs, and the rest of them were fill in the blank, so to say, kind of things. DILR, 32 questions, 8 sets. Some of you will be, feeling nostalgic about it or melancholic about it, depending on how bad or good it was, good or bad it was. Yes, Mitesh, I can understand that how that 8 sets of DI and LR screwed up your last year's CAT for some of you. 32 questions, 8 questions which were given as each one set in DI and one set in LR had no non-MCQs. The rest of them were MCQs. We'll figure out whether they continue to be MCQs or not this year. Verbal RC, surprise, it was last year. Fine, not really a surprise because the website of CAT did say that they're going to give 24 RCs and the rest of them will be verbal. If you really look at the change, if you really look at worrisome, except that there are lots more RCs, the only problem of content, or the bone of contention, would be the para jumbles. Every other thing, whether or not it looks like an non-MCQ, you can still figure out 1, 2, 3, 4 and answer and give your answer. Only para jumbles was a problem to get the exact sequence right. Now we are going to spend serious time on para jumbles. As I think all of you already know, I am an engineer myself. Therefore, I am going to give you, while I'm sure a Suchitra ma'am or a Geeta or probably even Bala sir, though he is an engineer and an MBA, will try to kind of give you in a very, very interesting manner of English manner of trying to solve those questions. I will also give you simple mathematical rules. I am using the word mathematical rules to ensure that para jumbles becomes that much more easier. I'm not sure there will be, I'm not saying there will be 100% guarantee on that, but at least about 3 out of 4 if you can get them right by following certain fundamental rules, fundamental, formulae, if I may use the word, I think we will work on it. Our mission for the CAT exam is not to suddenly become, intelligent in grammar or intelligent in vocabulary. While that is obviously a byproduct that I'm very welcome to take, my entire approach, whether it is for the smart CAT discussions or for all the classes that we're going to take up, is going to be yaar marks kaise aana chahiye. So there are 2 levels of it. One is the preparation level and then the marks level. Obviously, all of you know this, and I'm going to quickly realize why the Mission 200 point. As you can see, guys, 99.5 last year was 193 marks. And 99.9 was 209 marks. Incidentally, about 99.7 was 200. Whatever may be almost your 10th, 12th and degree scores, at this percentile, you will get calls from just about every IIM. Of course, these days, if you get less than 78 percentile in Ahmedabad, they can change next year, by the way. Last year was different, this year was different. So I hope that there will be a slight change in the next year's IIM Ahmedabad program, except Bangalore maybe, but this percentile and therefore this score can get you all the institutes that you probably want. All the probability that you can getting 100 percentile in that sense of the word. Now, there are obviously issues. Whether 200 is what, will the CAT paper be more easier this year or more difficult this year? I am saying it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's easy or difficult. My mission should be very clear. And if the paper is very, very difficult, automatically this mission will probably fall short of it by 20 marks, but you will still get the 99.7 percentile. If the paper is very easy, you can probably go a little bit higher and still get the 99.7 percentile. Minimum, that is what I am looking at. Saket, if you remember, last time I used to keep talking to you that boss, unless you try for the 99.9 percentile, I don't know where you will get kind of things. Maybe things do go wrong once in a while. For the best of the people, things do go wrong, but that is not the way to get brood yourself on or worry too much on. Look at, just set this back and ensure that the next year you are going to crack every exam. I'll just take a personal example here without going into the details of it. I have not written CAT once, I have written twice. The first time I had one call, IIM Calcutta. I had an FMS call, which had a different exam by the way. I had an IMT Ghaziabad call, which also had a different exam all the way, and an exam Bhubaneswar call, if I recall it correctly. All 4 calls and no converts at the end of 1 year. Each one, I thought I did very well. Especially CAT, I thought I would get more than Calcutta calls, but I didn't get. We had only 4 IIMs at that point of time, A, B, C, and L. When I wrote the second time, I just ensured that, okay, no stone was unturned. Yeah, it happened that I did get through all the institutes, including IIFT, which you are leaving, Mr. Nitesh, this time around. Okay, I'm just trying to tell you that, look, if I understand when we look at students, it is not just about training you for quant, DI or verbal. One of the biggest things that I think each one of us require is saying that, yaar, मैं सच में कर सकता हूँ क्या, किसी और ने किया है क्या, kind of things. And I suspect that it's not only me, my team, as well as when I've looked at hundreds and thousands of students really literally in the last 15, 16 years, I've seen that people have done very, very well. Maybe the first time, maybe the second time, sometimes, quite a few of them have done the third time and even fourth time for that matter. I still remember this girl, Rajeshwari, my very, very good student, kept on writing at this exam till she got through. She wanted to get into an IIM. There were only 6 IIMs that year, till that time. And fourth time, when she said, she comes and tells me, sir, I just needed this year. You tell me what I should do, kind of things. I'm not saying that the first 2, 3 times she didn't come through. Somewhere the desperation, at the same time, a huge, the commitment to getting there is what made her get through. Yeah, she did finally join IIM Indore, and she's doing extremely well for herself in her career. 10 years after passing, 2006, I think she passed out from IIM Indore at that point of time. I'm just giving you examples just to keep you feeling that, look, boss, you have taken, for good or bad, willy-nilly, the decision to write CAT 2016. All of you know what this entire story is all about. The whole idea is these 5 months are going to be obviously critical to you, and these 5 months are where I am going to be there, personally involved with each one of you, as well as, of course, my entire team. Just to remember, once again, for all of us, those of you who have heard part of this, what I've always said, remember this, the nature of this exam is a skill exam, not a memory exam. So therefore, more than anything that you need the same thing to be done 20 times. It's like, I don't know whether you have ever heard Virat Kohli talk about batting. He makes it look so easy simply because he trains and trains madly. When I'm saying trains madly, that doesn't mean he keeps on trying new things. The same thing he does it 100 times. Just one example I want to give about Sachin Tendulkar. When he was down, he went down under, he was getting out on a square cut shot. For one full test match, he did not use the square cut, made a 150, and immediately after that, he started using that square cut shots. The idea was he just wanted to first get marks and then worked on that same square cut shot in the nets for almost 2 full days. Then he started using that. I don't know how many of you know these anecdotes. Of such wonderful people. I use cricket a lot simply because that's my passion too. If that's my passion in that sense, if any one of you have the same passion, you will relate to me on this. How do you prepare? Very clearly, guys. First round, whatever good you are, bad you are, you need to have sound fundamentals. There is no doubt about it. You need loads of practice. Mitesh, for you specifically, if you are writing GMAT, you can't, you will have to still continue to work on this. Those of you who are writing or planning to write GMAT for that matter, I am seriously saying that, look, GMAT is also a similar exam as far as the preparation is concerned. The exam differs, of course. There is a critical reasoning area which is a lot more, intriguing. Sentence correction area which is definitely more important as compared to CAT exam, as such. But otherwise, you still have to practice, and that will come in good stead for every exam. Oh, brilliant, Saket. 25th July. Then definitely meet me on one of these days when I'm meeting you. I'm coming to in June. I'll send you a message. I'm glad that you've taken the date, Saket. Other thing that I'm seriously telling you is the balanced preparation. This is something which lots of people don't realize. This you of all people would, if you don't in something, don't keep on doing that same thing again and again. You need to take up the rest of the things. That doesn't mean you will forget, of course, the strength area. If you are good in quant, well, it's our typical nature that we will spend too much of time on quant, than let's say in DILR or RC for that matter. Take the bull by its horns. In other words, if there is area which you are not getting, let's say a verbal area which you are not getting, spend a lot of time on the verbal in the next 5 months. Apart from, of course, making sure that the other two don't go for a toss. But please make sure that there is a balanced preparation. Smart approach is what we're going to talk to you about every time. What is it that you need to do, especially for the exams as such. Obviously, there are going to be 20 mock tests. What we are also trying to do is this time for each of the sections. Last time I didn't give this to you, but this time I'm giving it to you. That these three, if there are going to be 3 sections, there will be sectional tests. Till last year we had only individual tests, but this time we're going to have sectional tests. The logic of the sectional test is instead of taking the 3-hour test paper, you probably do only quant DI section, DILR section or a verbal RC section, depending on what is your problem. You spend 3 hours for the entire paper and you may not want to sit for 3 hours. Therefore, we are going to come out with some 10-15 such papers which will give you that extra ammunition to pick up that, and there will be all of the level of CAT in that sense of the word. Okay, that will get unleashed. I'll tell you when to start doing that also. And of course, right guidance is what we will give you. Don't worry about that. While I don't want to say this, somewhere you need to also realize that look, a little bit of luck may just be required. And the luck definitely favors the brave. I was talking to a girl today who wrote CAT 16 last year, CAT 15 last year, that is. And when she wrote this smart CAT, she was very, very afraid of attempting more questions. Arey, this is the first mark. Why are you afraid? I think somewhere the confidence has to be built in you, and that's what my job is, at least for the next 5 months, not to let your confidence, falter. My idea of two things. One is the preparation plan. One is the smart CAT plan. Preparation plan, here is what I want you to do. First round, July, especially quantitative ability. There are 17, 18 topics. You know what are the topics, arithmetic, etc., etc. We'll talk about them very quickly. But this is the plan, guys. Saket and Mitesh, both of you are writing the exam, writing your G on end of July and beginning of August probably. So you can extend that to by August 15 days extra after your exam. But the reason is also there, because if the June and maybe 10th of July, if you put in your one round fully completely, last 10-15 days of writing a GMAT, you need to take up the GMAT test, at least 3 to 4 tests. That is the reason why I don't think that you will have enough time to maybe finish in a very very thorough manner. But the others who are there today, I am saying must plan June and July. End of this July, you would finish one round of going through all the exercises, concepts, formulae and exercises of all the areas. We'll talk about which are the areas. I'm sure already know, all of you know. Second round is where you are talking by, that is August and September is where I expect you to start taking a lot more tests, individual tests, sectional tests, and of course you will anyway have started the smart CATs in July itself. June we will have 1, July there will be 5, September 4, October 5, November 3 or 4. So there are enough and more. Here is where one small advice, guys. I do understand that there is a lot of talk on Pagal guy, how many tests you write for time AIMCATs, you write CLMCs, you want to write IMS's SimCats, you will only get mad. Believe me that. And you are every time you are spending 3 hours on this exam. Remember that. I mean, it's ridiculous waste of time if you are writing 40, 50 mock cats. 20 more than sufficient. In fact, if you want to write 15, I'm still saying it's more than sufficient. Absolutely. It is a craziness these days that everybody wants to write so many exams. When we wrote CAT, and I don't think there was any less difficulty in getting in or less competition as such, because the number of seats were less, even though the number of people writing CAT was only 50,000, and only about 4 IIMs and about 800 seats. So proportionally speaking, you are exactly talking about the same numbers. We used to write 3 or 4 mocks at the end of the day, max. Now, I'm not saying you do 3 and 4 because there is a lot of tension in every one of you. In fact, people are already wondering whether for this exam 5 months, which is far away from today. Believe me, it's not such a goddamn difficult exam that you need 5 months to prepare also. I'm just trying to tell you simply because if you have not even touched the pen on paper, you can start doing it right now, and 5 months is more than sufficient for correction. All of you are pretty good, basically, guys. Understand that. So the second round, I am looking at tests, mocks, writing sectional tests, and of course, writing all the individual tests one round in the rhythm in writing the exam. Third round, of course, is continuing with the section-wise tests, and every alternate day, you have a 7-day week, 2 days for the smart cat, 1 day for the discussion, and on the remaining 4 or 5 days, you will take 2 section-wise tests. The entire thing, that's October and November, I suspect that you will take about 2 into 5 or 2 into 6, 12 to 14 sectional tests, and of course 6 to 7 mock cats, the smart cats that we talk about. This is what I want you to preparation plan. The first round complete by July, and of course second when you're doing tests along with a revision part of it, and the third round, which is by end, you are ready for your strategy 2. This is the preparation plan. But there is here is where I have a very, very simple, let's put it this way, my suggestion or seriously a strategy. The first thing to come to end of July, and for some of you who are writing GMATs, let's say middle of August, your plan, your requirement would be to attempt 200 marks worth 200 marks worth of questions is what I want you to attempt, which means approximately 67 questions. 67 questions among the 3 sections is the minimum that you will attempt, absolute bare minimum that you will attempt by end of July itself. Even if you're starting your preparation, I suspect that you can easily reach this level. Even if you get more mistakes. A lot of people are worried about mistakes. I'm not, but I will personally see that you don't worry about these mistakes. Make the mistakes, but get the 200 marks worth of questions, attempting at least. Okay. The second level, of course, is by end of September, that is 2 more months from then, you should start consistently attempting 250 marks worth, probably more if you can, obviously, something like 85 questions, 83 to 85 attempts. My idea is something very, very simple. If I attempt 250, I get about 210, 212 right, I am going to get my 200 marks, which is 83% of accuracy. Areas like quant and DILR, I suspect that your accuracy should be in the 90% range. If you attempt 10, you should get 9. In an area like verbal RC specifically can still be higher, 80% or 75%. Verbal will be slightly lesser, but since there are not many negative marks because of non-MCQs, my bet is you will not make so many mistakes. Even if you get something like 200, 210 correct, without too many mistakes, you will be able to get that 200. This is end September only. The idea in October and November will be to then improve accuracy and then push yourself through. Now, these are dangerous things that I'm telling you today. I do not know whether you even realize what I'm trying to say. It's a thing which ideally I would refrain from saying it to a student who is writing the CAT for the first time, because that would mean the pressure on him will be very, very high. अरे यार, अगर मैं 80 question attempt करना है, so there is a huge pressure on every section. I need to almost do 30 kind of things. It's not easy, believe me. 30 attempt, you are not able to attempt 18, 19, 20 questions, and somebody is asking you to attempt 28, 29 questions in quant, let's say, or a DILR. What I'm basically saying in DILR is do 6 sets at the least out of 8 sets. At the least is 6 sets minimum. It's not easy. But what I'm trying to but I'm still making this error in saying this to you. It's not a mistake I'm making. I expect that you guys get the strategies right. That is where the strategies for individually we will have to work on, not as a group, to make sure that you attempt this many marks. My idea, once again in a little more detailed manner, quant, I want you to do all chapters, all concepts, all exercises. Arithmetic, algebra, numbers, geometry, pure maths. There are 18 topics, guys. I'll send you the topics. Once we get into this list, I'll tell you which topics to do. Again, I'm not going to tell you should do arithmetic first or numbers first or let's say pure maths first. You can decide for yourself, but make sure that these are the areas you go through before the end of July. Similarly, DI. This is something interesting, guys. Obviously, all of us know about these two. Charts, types of questions and exercises, whether it's tables, bars, PI, line, spider, triangle, etc., etc. But what I am really, really interested in data interpretation is this. If you look at a data interpretation question, you will figure out that there are questions based on the numbers. The table is full of numbers, or a bar chart is full of numbers. Line graphs are full of numbers, or more so, everything is given in terms of percentages up to 100%. And how do I convert that 100% to numbers? But there are some questions, of course, not a very difficult one, very easy ones, where average concept is used quite a bit in the data interpretation set. Our logic would be to be comfortable with all these 3 types. Numbers you will get comfortable more and more if you do speed mathematics. But I am expecting that if you look at both these things and also understand averages, mean, median, mode kind of things will be going a long way in your MBA itself, for that matter. But anyway, we will work on that too. Similarly, target for June and July, English, very little to say, guys. You'll have to go back to all your exercises. We're going to do some 4 or 5 classes on grammar itself. My idea of doing grammar exercises in the classes is to ensure that you remember everything, but more so, you have to do tons of exercises in this. Vocabulary, I am very seriously saying 5 words a day for the next 150 days. Ideally, you should improve your diction by 750 words. At least 500 is the target. At least 500 new is the target. Since we have this batch together as a group, we may share every day this 4 or 5 words which are in vogue, which will help us to kind of improve ourselves. Then I am expecting that whatever the reading speed you are at, 250, 300, I don't care. I want 400 words per minute as your reading speed. Areas that you need to work on, like philosophy, abstract, literature, sociology, anthropology, doesn't matter which areas, pick it up and start reading them so that you will get them. The books, the reading comprehension book has, even if you don't worry about the questions and answers, there are so many passages which have been picked up specifically for reading comprehension. I want you to solve them one by one. And of course, reasoning. I don't have to say this. Mitesh will understand this again. Missing out on a cubes question or a Venn diagrams question or a puzzles question or an arrangement question. यार 10 बार करना पड़ेगा इसको. Selection question, distribution, network. Do it so many times that you don't miss out on it. The idea here is to become so consistent in this that you are ready for the most difficult ones. Having said this, just to tell you, Mitesh, I'm sorry I'm using these two guys' words a lot more. The others are also there. Don't feel bad about it. But I have spoken so much with this guy that therefore I'm trying to explain this. That look, if the paper is genuinely difficult, you need to change strategies. That is another thing which we need to ensure. That look, come what may, we need to be able to judge the paper. One of the biggest expectations that I have from each one of you here is this, that your ability to gauge the difficulty of the paper and therefore the cutoffs. When I'm saying the cutoffs for your 99.5 percentile, 99.9 percentile is what is going to take you through. I used to remember when we wrote the CAT, even 4 or 5 mock CATs also, our expectation was, can I guess what will be the 90 percentile mark? Can I guess what will be the 95 percentile mark? If I can start guessing that, believe me, my ability for the exam will be far more. It's like, expert of a CAT. When I see a pitch, I should be able to expert of a cricket pitch of a cricketer. When he sees a pitch, he will say, "Yaar, this is a belter. It requires 250 runs. It is a turner. It requires 175 runs," or whatever that number may be. How are they able to say that? It's about their knowledge of that pitch and how the conditions work. Similarly, I am saying, if there is one ability, one expertise that each one of you need to gain over the next 20 mocks that you're going to write, is ability to gauge the cutoff. 90 percentile cutoff, 95 percentile cutoff, 85 percentile cutoff. And that is while doing the paper. You can do that and then check the scores. And then check the scores. When the finally percentiles come in, that is where you will be surprised. You will be in a position, then in the actual exam you write, you will be able to relate to it, gauge the difficulty, and then attempt the paper accordingly. In fact, I'm going to discuss this with you, how you will gauge a paper itself. By looking at a paper, saying that, how do I decide? When I'm writing the paper for one hour, 60 minutes, मेरे पास पहले करने के लिए time नहीं है. How am I going to even waste my time thinking what is the cutoff? That will be a valid question. That is what I want to teach you in this few months, which will kind of get you that extra edge that most people want, because you will be doing it without that idea. Okay? And of course, the whole idea of reasoning would be to solve one exercise every week. Target for August, September is most important part of preparation, guys. I'm sure, because that is about 3 months before the CAT exam. Not to lose your continuity. All of you today are, geared up. Director special batch, I say this. Therefore, you will say, wow, great show, excellent. You will be pumped up for the next 2-3 weeks, and then it will slow down. My job is, of course, to keep on, letting you not lose the focus. This 2 months, you will, while taking the sectional test, do a lot of revision on the same chapters that you have already done. A lot of individual tests and sectional tests. But most importantly, this is where I expect that we will, once we are ready with our ability to, solve, how do I get my marks will be important. So your lot of experimentation on test taking strategies is the, the call, is the requirement for that time. That's what you do it in August and September. We will plan it one by one. In fact, those of you who have heard my testing strategies last year, if you have not heard it, I'm going to take it up again for you specifically. But again, unless you try these ideas, you will never get it. I'm not saying one idea will be working or the other doesn't. We will figure out 3-4 ideas and see which one works the best for you as an individual. Each one may be different again. The idea is to get to the comfort zone. the comfort zone that you will write. For example, I keep saying this to people. Each one of us is different. When I wrote the CAT exam, I was extremely strong, and there was no time limits for each of the sections. So I was very, very strong in quant. So I started off in quant typically. Not everybody wants to start in quant. So you let it. Somebody wants to start in verbal ability. Somebody wants to start in, let's say, data interpretation. That's absolutely fine. We will also see if there is any kind of a change that is going to come for the CAT exam too. Okay? That is going to be also one of our expectations. Target for October will be very simple. 10 sectional tests minimum, because I told you there are 5 weeks, 4.5, 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks. So every week, 2.5 sectional tests or 3 sectional tests, 5 smart cats, thorough analysis and revision of the smart cats. This, I am using this word. I am not even saying you need to do a lot more. Original cats also you can do, but I am saying all the smart cats are being designed from the original cat papers itself, which means to say that all the types of questions will anyway get repeated. You may want to go through the original questions, so be it, but revising every one of these smart cats, 220 into 100, that is 2,000 questions. That's what we were talking about at the end of it. 2,000 questions, more than real sufficient for you to, crack the exam. Idea in October would be to finalize the strategy for CAT 16 and ensure that in November, any day. Adityan, I'll just repeat this once again. I am saying, apart from thorough revision of the smart cats, because smart cats, remember that 20 marks that you write into 100 questions, that's about 2,000 questions. Typically, you're talking about 600 of each of these areas, apart from all the basics that you do, how many tests that you do. If you revise these, because these are being picked up from the original CAT papers and replicated, you would be very ready for the exam. All the DIs or LRs, etc. kind of things, you will be ready for the exam. The only thing that you need to be confident about is yourself, not the question and the answer. Remember, add to that, if your ability to gauge the cutoff is good, you will not panic in an exam. You will know exactly what's happening in an exam, and therefore your performance will be much better. So the idea in October would be to, in fact, I'm going to share this PPT with all of you. The idea is for you to ensure that you don't forget the plan, at least. This is what my plan is for you guys for the next 3 months. Quant 18 classes, data interpretation 8 classes, logical ability 6 classes, reading comprehension 4, verbal, critical reasoning and grammar 5, and smart cat discussions 9. Total 50 classes in all. If you need more, don't worry about it. That of course will happen. In addition to this, there will be workshops. Remember this, guys. The workshops are extra. But I am talking about, these are idea. We're going to pick up, Raghunath sir is going to take up a lot of these quant. DI I'm going to take up, logic also. Most probably I'll take up. RC I'll ask Bala and or Rahul to take up. Critical reasoning again we will be taking up. Grammar is where Suchitra or Geeta will take up. Verbal reasoning, verbal ability, specifically para jumbles and para completion, I myself will once again take it up. Smart cat discussions, I already know that you know that I will be taking up most of these discussions myself. Okay, so in that sense of the word, unfortunately you will get completely bored with me by the end of this 5 months, but I guess we will also get to know each other completely well by the time we finish this. Okay, all of you know the team, just in case you don't know. Mitesh and Srinivas of course will be the coordinator. He is going to coordinate. One second, guys. He is going to be the main coordinator. I'm going to give his number also. Rahul sir and Bala sir both are going to take classes this time. Nishan definitely will take some of the logic classes, and of course, as you can see, both of us will take a lot more topics. Madhuri ma'am, typically she is very, very strong in her arithmetic areas. She will take it up, that too. Suchitra, Geeta and Ankuran. Ankuran is in Calcutta. Those of you who do not know him, he is an IIM Bangalore pass out of 2006-2007. He has been with us for a long time. He has not taken too many online classes, but he is the head of Calcutta, and I'm asking him this time to take some of these classes because he is very, very, very popular in Calcutta too. These are the guys who are going to take your classes, guys, for this particular batch. Out of which, as you can clearly see that quite a few of them will be taken by myself. Okay. Now here is where I want you to do a small help for me too. You all of you know about our centers. We have full-time programs. We have online full-time program. This is the special directors batch that we are trying to do it this year specifically. We call it the Achievers batch last year, but slightly differently. Any one of your friends who have written CAD and writing again, plans to seriously do, lots of people think that they write the mock CAD and should be more than sufficient. Tell them it's not that it is not sufficient, it is just that they will need somebody and they will need a consistent somebody to help them out. More importantly, consistency in preparation, consistency in doing the same thing again and again. And that is where, may I request, as a marketing pitch also, I am requesting that get your good friends to join this particular batch, because that will make it into a very, very strong batch. If it is about 20-25 strong, it will be great. If it is less than that, I'm okay with it. But if it is more also, I know that we will be able to deliver and cater to the entire student base in that sense. We also will have later on, this is for other people, just for this is, I mean, you guys are my students, therefore I'm also telling you this. We will also have SmartCAD 20 plus some 10 discussions, and of course we'll have a specific program for the workshops and SmartCAD programs also later on. That will be closer to September, October kind of things. Please do help us in spreading this across to everywhere in the country, wherever you are and whichever place in the country you are in that sense. These are my numbers, guys. All of you know my email ID. Srinivas I was talking about. Those of you know him already, great. If you do not know him, you can bug him as much as you want. He will be there 24/7 along with me. He is an IIM Indore graduate, I already told you. One other thing, lots of very few people know, he's also my brother in that sense. So both of us kind of are very, very sure that between the two of us, we will address whatever questions that you have. Leena also has been my counselor, and she is almost always available for any kind of help in that sense. There are Vikram and Dheeraj who are the tech team support for me. I have given their numbers are already there in our WhatsApp group. All these people, all our batch will be in the WhatsApp group, so that any doubt, any issues, we will try to solve that very, very fast. Okay? Any questions now? I can take it up, and then we will call it a day for today, because I said I won't take more than 45-50 minutes today. The idea is to give you an intro, make sure that we are ready for it, and the entire schedule I will send it across to you. We are actually